This is pretty much exactly the same type of wagon that Bachmann have had in their branch line range for a number of years. The Bachmann wagon really is pretty good. I can't really find anything to fault with it. So it's why I thought it was really important to take a good closer look at the Oxford Rail offering, so you had a good comparison to that effect. Hi there, I'm Jenny Kirk. Welcome along to another Jenny Kirk video, and we're going to be doing a box opening and review. And just remember, this is the channel where you see all of the things that nobody else is bothering to review. So we're getting out there, we're getting in first, and let's take a closer look. What we've got here is an Oxford Rail wagon. Now, I've done a load of Bachmann wagons, I've done a load of Hornby wagons, so I thought it was only fair for us to take a good closer look at some of the Oxford Rail offerings, and they really are getting quite good of late. So I've invested in a few of these so I can take a closer look on your behalf. And this particular one is one that I haven't had from Oxford Rail before. It's a 7-plank wagon, but with the greedy boards, the coke rails on the top, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But if we look at the end, we've got the code OR76CK7002, and as we can see there, this is something that I've pointed this out on some of the previous Oxford Rail wagons that I've reviewed here on this channel. There's quite a few spelling mistakes seem to be creeping in, so I don't know whether there's something lost in translation or whether they're a little bit rushed at the factory, but it's something I've not really seen with Hornby or Bachmann or Dapol, but certainly this is not the first time I've seen this with Oxford Rail. Now, it's the same size, it's the same factor size of box as we've seen from Hornby, from Dapol, from Bachmann. They've all gone for this very standard size, so there's probably a lot more to do with buying in packaging, probably from the same company more than anything else, but it maximises the amount of wagons you can get in a space for shipping, I suppose. So we're going to get this out of its plastic inner. Now, one thing that Oxford Rail don't go in for, which Bachmann and Hornby seem to, is the slippery bit of plastic that goes in the bottom there to stop the plastic insert here from rubbing in transit and just damaging the finish. What I have to say, looking closely in there, that actually it doesn't seem to have been necessary. They've all come from Hong Kong, so they've all come on the same sort of a sea journey, and I'm not seeing any kind of rubbing damage, so maybe it's a little bit of overkill from Bachmann and Hornby, but certainly the price with these Oxford Rail wagons is incredibly keen, and maybe one of the ways that they can shave a few pennies off the cost of making these is by just not having little bits and pieces like that. And you think over several thousand wagons, all those little bits of plastic are going to add up. So it's just, you know, a little observation there. The base wagon itself is actually, I think it's a 7-plank end-door tipping wagon, but with the addition of these greedy boards. So we can see on this end, we've got the end tipping door, and this is pretty much exactly the same type of wagon that Bachmann have had in their branch line range for a number of years. The Bachmann wagon really is pretty good. I can't really find anything to fault with it. So it's why I thought it was really important to take a good closer look at the Oxford Rail offering, so you had a good comparison to that effect. The wagon itself, there's a reasonable weight to it. We've got a pretty standard Oxford Rail base on there, and they do go in for this kind of underframe detail, which is really a bit of detail for detail's sake. But getting to the nitty-gritty, the things that you do see when this is on the track and running, we've got some decent metal single spoke wheels, and they're actually, the colour on them, they've got more of this sort of like a dark black, almost like it's been etching primered or something like that. It's not a very shiny metal on the wheels, and I think that really does improve it, because sometimes one of the things that stands out with some of these models is the wheel wheels look a little bit too bright and clean, but on this they are dark enough that they really do blend in with the base. And we've got the white wall tyres on there, which is pretty prototypical for a lot of wagons for the period to help spot cracks if they formed. But the main thing about these that I really wanted to take a good close look at is the quality of the tampo printing. And certainly with some of the earlier Oxford Rail wagons, that we found the white printing over the base colours wasn't really as opaque as it needed to be. So you got quite a bit of bleed through with the colours underneath. Now on this wagon, they do seem to have got to the bottom of a lot of that. And the tampo printing does, to my eye, look pretty reasonable. We've got the white for the radiant smokeless fuel, and then we've got the yellow and red for the Coalite, or if you believe what it says on the end of the box, the Goalite. But that's I just think they're probably rushing these through a little bit without too much checking. But certainly they've not got any spelling mistakes on the tampo printing as far as I can tell. Now, this is where it really does get pretty fine detail, and this particular wagon caught my eye in the shop because of all this tampo printing here. And we've got so much really small text, and I've got every faith that under extreme magnification we're going to be able to read all of that. And it's something actually that it seems that I must be one of the few people who is taking these to the extremes of magnification, because in one of our previous reviews, really, we looked closer than anybody else to the point where we discovered some tampo printing writing with a little sort of semi-secret message on from Hornby. Take a look at the wording on that stenciled on the sole bar. It says, "This sign is far too small to read. Good luck." So it'll be interesting to see whether Oxford Rail have gone in for anything like that, but I doubt it. We've also got on the chassis sole bar, we've got some of the workers' build plates, but then also over here we've also got plates to do with the railway where it would be first registered. And it's a little bit difficult to tell where this company might have been based. I mean, we've got London there on the tampo printing, but that's more likely to have been the head office of the company. But certainly the first registration plate details from the wagon builders, they were generally, regardless of where the wagon was going to get used, they would always be on the railway company where the wagon had been registered. So when we look at that under the extreme close-up tampo printing, we can actually get a much better idea of roughly, is this a big four wagon, or is this actually a pre-grouping wagon? And it is something that I have noticed with a few of the wagons from Bachmann, from Hornby and from Oxford Rail, that the liveries are prototypical for a pre-1923, i.e. pre-grouping period wagon, but the wagon itself is a post-1923 wagon. And this particular type of wagon here, it's to the Railway Clearinghouse design from 1923, so this is very firmly a Big Four era wagon. So we'll look a bit closer on some of this tampo printing detail, and we'll try and get to the bottom of that. The brake gear is a lot of separately applied bits and pieces here, which is really, really nicely done. And I think this is one of the areas that Oxford Rail is certainly getting a slightly better finished wagon than Bachmann. The actual tampo printing, Bachmann really, there's not been anything to fault. Oxford Rail are getting better all the time, and I think it's only a matter of time before their wagons equal, if not surpass, the quality of some of the other manufacturers' wagons. And certainly what the wagons have going for them more than anything else is that low price tag. These wagons are less than half what some of the competition is coming to the market at. And really, that does forgive an awful lot of faults. Some faults that I can find, the buffers on a lot of Oxford Rail wagons do tend to be a little bit on the loose side. I don't know what glue they use, but there, I can pull the buffer heads out really without any great effort. So that's something that you're going to have to watch out for. They do go back in relatively easily. Just line that up, push it in. But certainly you might want to put a little dab of glue on that shaft and just make sure that it's fully inserted and the glue sets, just to avoid accidentally losing some of these buffer heads, because you know what it's like. They'll fall off, they'll get lost, and then you'll notice that they've fallen off, and by then it's too late to find where they've gone. The couplings are, we've got these narrow, industry standard now, tension lock couplings in NEM pockets, and the NEM pockets do appear to be at the correct height, so that's pretty good going there. It's certainly something that plagued the earlier Bachmann releases, though they did improve on that and update the models for some of the later releases. Overall, I think this is a really good effort. We've got a good representation of the internal detail in there. It is lacking a little bit on things like the side and the end doors, but again, we've said this time and time again, limitations of the release process for the mould, so that really is something to be expected. The wood colour, I do find it's a little bit too much of a vibrant brown. It's probably the only major detraction that I have with this wagon, and it's something that I really do wish that if Oxford Rail could sort one thing out, it's the colour that they're using to denote this sort of weathered, unpainted wood. And really, I think that this brown, it's not a natural wood colour. If you're going to weather this wagon, that's easy to hide. If you're going to add a load to this wagon, again, easy to hide. Now, I did at the very start of this hint on one little thing. I'm just going to cover this really, really quickly. The greedy boards, these. The reason for this was that this wagon was designed for carrying coke. I know it says radiant smokeless fuel, but generally speaking, smokeless fuel was coke. And this is coal that has been heated up to force out the coal tar and the coal gas. Usually back then it would have been during the town gas process that vast amounts of coke would have been produced. And it was a cheaper fuel to buy and use. It burnt very, very hot, tended to melt your fire bars on your fire, but it was actually lighter than coal for a given volume. And that was one of the reasons that some of these wagons got fitted with these greedy boards or coke boards, and it meant that the wagon could carry a bigger volume of coke, which would be equal to the same weight of coal that the standard wagon without the greedy boards would have carried. So just a little bit of a background check there for you, just to explain what these things actually are for. Overall, I'm going to give this wagon a good solid 9.1 out of 10 on my completely meaningless and made up on the spur of the moment scale. I'm sure at some point somebody will chart all these and will produce a definitive list of all of these numbers I've plucked out of the air. But certainly no, this is a good solid effort. And they're getting better all the time. Some of the earlier Oxford Rail wagons did suffer a little bit with the livery application, but certainly with this, it's very clear that Oxford Rail are getting there. Well, I hope that was very informative to you. Don't forget to like this video and also share it too. And also subscribe to the channel. You'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But until next time, you take very good care of yourself. It's me, Jenny Kirk, saying bye for now. If you liked today's video, please consider checking out my Patreon page where you can help me to keep making the videos that you love. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knob T Mouse. Thanks, and catch you later.